Hello everyone. We'll continue with the second part of product development process. So here we have the double diamond. We were looking at the primary research and the secondary research, and based on the data we have collected the insights, we developed the themes, and based on these themes we are now trying to determine what are those opportunity areas, what are those unserved needs of the customer, where we can add major value, where we can change the lives of the user, we can simplify the process, we can simplify the customer journey map, what those are. So we are trying to determine it over here, and in the next phase we try determining the solutions for those. So once you've determined the opportunity areas, you try to define what are those how might we statements. These statements are primarily trying to define what are those problems that the users are facing. So you, in a simple way, we define how might we change the lives of the users, maybe going to the office. How might we change the lives of the commuters, so that they spend less time on the traffic, maybe some things like that. So once you define these, you try to prioritize them based on how important that problem is. You want to work on your solution space now. So you now want to do is designing the things that are right. So you look at solution exploration. So you're diverging into ideation. In this case, we determine as many number of solutions as we can, right? And we evaluate them. We get hold of ideas from different quarters. We try to work with within the team, with team, build idea over idea, merge ideas, things like that. And once we are done with that, we have narrowed down the ideas to work with. We then get into the mode of the delivery. So at this stage, we build, test, iterate, do the kind of a lean startup, build, test, iterate, keeps going on until we are now ready for the solution. So this is the double diamond. In the next one, we talk about the waterfall versus an agile. So there are some projects where the waterfall makes a whole lot of sense. These are the large projects where you define, build, release, and then there is a value after you have done the release. So this could take as much as maybe in a year or maybe a year and a half, sometimes 2 years, but it takes longer period of time. So the cycle time to get this out is longer. So accordingly, the risk is also very very high. By the time you release, there is a good possibility that the user's expectations have changed, the customer expectations have changed, or the product's needs are not relevant anymore. So many instances, the work done on waterfall projects, they actually go wasted. And when it comes to agile, we are primarily looking at addressing the risk as soon as possible. So we test the risk immediately, and by doing that, we how do we do it? We define, we build, we release. We define, we build, and release. And whenever we release, we are testing the risk and go back to the drawing board, take the feedback again, define, build, release. That keeps going on. So in this process, what's happening is there is a sense of urgency, and we are able to address the needs of the market as soon as possible. We don't want to be building a full-fledged product immediately. We would want to build in an incremental manner and in a iterative manner, small chunks, small increments, and take it to the market. And we're testing it in the market, if this is working or not, is this solving the user's problem or not. And here are the 4 stages of the lean product development. So there is interpret, hypothesis, plan, test. So you evaluate the data to analyze and synthesize the results. Next, you draw conclusions and make predictions. During the hypothesis, you're basically defining the hypothesis based on the data that you have. like you have understood based on your primary and secondary research that this is my underserved need of the market, and accordingly what you do is you build a plan to build, plan to launch the product into the market, and then finally test, run the experiments and gather data and go back again and evaluate. So that cycle keeps going on. Then the comparison between the traditional versus the lean. So in the traditional, what we do is we do industry analysis, market analysis, make a financial projection, we raise funds, build the product, launch, write the business plan. So business plan will start with, and then it keeps going on. So that's a process. Everything starts with a business plan. In the lean, it's all about build, measure, learn. Build, measure, learn. So the emphasis given here is more towards getting your MVP into the market as soon as possible. So you want to start with your as in the baseline, which is build, and then after that you want to measure those experiments. You want to analyze the data, what's worked, what's not worked, and then you go back. You want to learn and see if there's a need to pivot, persevere, and relook at your hypothesis, and then build all over again. So the strategy when it comes to the traditional model is it's a business plan driven, it's implementation driven, whereas the lean strategy is primarily business model driven. Viability is emphasized, hypothesis is emphasized over here. With respect to the principles, in traditional strategies, we focuses on offering something great offering, whereas principles with respect to lean strategies, the focus on testing the hypothesis by building an MVP. So the first step is as simple as like building MVP, like as soon as possible, nothing more, nothing less. And with respect to engineering approach, it's a waterfall model, and whereas with lean strategy, it's agile. So we have discussed about agile, so we'll just cover it in a brief. So it starts with the requirement definition and analyzing the concepts. You plan for the sprints. There's a collaborative design development. Then we create and implement, and then review and monitor. Okay. This is the Agile Manifesto. There are 12 Agile principles. Prioritize customer satisfaction, welcome change requirements, deliver working software frequently, work together daily, build projects around motivated individuals, conduct face-to-face conversation. Working software is of primary importance. Then there is remote sustainable development, continuous attention to technical excellence. Simplicity is essential, self-organizing teams, and then finally reflect regularly on continuous improvement. This is a regular sprint cycle, how it looks like. So the process to it is, this is your team. You have the product owner, scrum master, scrum team members, stakeholders. You have a project vision. Based on this, you have the epics. You have the user stories emerging from those epics. You plan for these in the form of sprint planning meetings, and after that meeting is done, the implementation starts. You start seeing burn down charts, impediment log, and then you have, as part of the review, you have the sprint review meeting, and then the retrospective. Okay. There is while you're doing the implementation, you have the daily scrum, and you have sprint review meetings where you're reviewing what's done so far, and during retrospective you try to find out what's working, what's not working for the internal team, and how things could be improved to increase the velocity. There are different types of agile. So you can see here there's Scrum, Lean, Kanban, XP, continuous integration, CI/CD. FTD, TDD, crystal clear, Scrum of Scrums, Scrum at scale, large scale Scrum, SAFe, disciplined, agile delivery, DSDM, agile PM, AUM, open. So this is a basic Scrum framework at a glance. So there is a product backlog, and then we have a sprint planning that happens after it. So product backlog primarily has all the all the stories in an ordered fashion with respect to what needs to be improved for the product, and it includes the necessary product goals. In the sprint planning, what you're defining now is the sprint goals, and in these sprint goals you focus on achieving you add features to achieve those sprint goals. And then you have sprint backlog. This backlog is like a subset of a product backlog. It has stories which the developers will pick up and they will be executing sprint by sprint. Or sprint can go on for a month or maybe for two weeks. So while you're running the sprint, you have the daily scrum, you have the sprint review, then sprint retrospective. Okay, and the other one we have is called Kanban board. Over here we have a prioritized backlog, and there is once from this prioritized backlog, the stories are picked up, are being worked on, they moved into work in progress, and they get validated by the product owner or product manager or the testing team, and then it is moved to complete state. Waterfall model we have discussed, and then some comparisons here. If you can see, the changes can be made with agile and with waterfall. Adaptability to change is existing in agile, but in waterfall we don't give that much importance to scope because that leads to changes in the contract terms. Teams are expected to be small, not large, whereas waterfall model the teams are large. Here in agile allows customers to be available throughout the project, but whereas in waterfall customers are available only during the beginning and the end. There is feature prioritization that also happens, feasibility fronting. Another view of the waterfall and agile. So different step-by-step linear steps, as you can see over here. Whereas this believes in test, build, rather than design, build, test, and go for the delivery, find out what's going on, what's working, what's not working. Are we able to deliver value to the customers or not? Go back, do the requirement analysis, and again go back to design, build. So here are a few questions related to what we have learned so far. What is agile methodology primarily focused on? Is it detailed documentation? Is it strict adherence to plans? Is it adapting to change? Is it fixed scope and timelines? So the right answer is C, adapting to change. Question 2. What agile principles emphasizes delivering functional software frequently? Is it customer collaboration over contract negotiation, responding to change over following a plan? Is it working software over comprehensive documentation? Is it sustainable development over short-term gains? Right. So based on the question, it looks like C seems to be the most appropriate one, right? Working software over comprehensive documentation. And which role is responsible for prioritizing and refining the items in the product backlog? So Scrum Master could not be the one because Scrum Master is primarily responsible for, it's like a task job, right? You want to ensure that all the Scrum related ceremonies are happening the way it's supposed to happen, right? Are happening on time. There is sense of urgency. So it's more of rules and regulation ensuring that things are happening, removing any impediments that might be. Product owner, then there is development team, there is project manager. So the right answer is product owner, right? Product owner is responsible for prioritizing and refining the items in the product backlog. Question 4, in Scrum, what event is held at the end of each sprint to inspect the work done and adapt to the upcoming work? So you have daily stand-up, sprint review, sprint planning, sprint retrospective. So the question is, what event is held at the end of each sprint to inspect the work done and adapt to the upcoming work? So it could be sprint review, or is it sprint retrospective? So sprint review is where we actually review the work and adapt to the upcoming change. Sprint retrospective is primarily an internal meeting where you inspect how things have happened, and you want to see how you can be better the next time you're working on your new set of sprints. So it's more performance enhancer. So the answer is B. Next, question 5. What is the recommended time frame for a typical agile sprint? Is it 1 month, 3 months, 6 weeks, and 2 weeks? So the right answer is 2 weeks. And next, question 6. Which value is not part of the agile manifesto? Individuals and interactions over process and tools, working solutions over comprehensive documentation, contract negotiations over customer collaboration, responding to change over following a plan. So question is, which value is not part of the agile manifesto? Individuals and interactions over process and tools? Is it working solutions over comprehensive documentation? Is it contract negotiation over customer collaboration? So C seems to be wrong, because emphasis here is on contract negotiation, but rather focus with respect to agile manifesto is customer collaboration over the contract negotiation. All right. So that's all we have. With this we will end the product development process. Thank you.